Hey everybody, Randy Patterson here with Boomerocity, and this time around we are bringing back an old friend of ours. His name is Willie Nile. Last time we chatted with him officially on Boomerocity was about 4 years ago when he came out with his last studio album, and he's got a new one out called The Great Yellow Light. And if you're a big Willie Nile fan like I am, you're going to absolutely love this record. I'm just telling you right up front, order it. And it's also going to become available in vinyl. And if you're a vinyl collector like I am, I encourage you to order that as well. For those of you who aren't familiar with Willie, he's been around a long time. He's a prolific writer, recording artist. He got his start way back when with The Who, touring with them back, I think it was around 1980 in that tour. And it gave him a big break. It led to a recording contract for him. Since then, he's worked with Ringo Starr, Tori Amos, Elvis Costello, Bare Naked Ladies, Ian Hunter, tons and tons more. Just too many people to mention. Oh, he's very good friends with Bruce Springsteen. How about that? And so that all has opened up doors. The guy never stops. He just works as strong now in his 70s as he did in his 20s. So if you're not familiar with him, I encourage you to check him out. And while you're at it, would you please go ahead and hit like and subscribe if you're not already a subscriber? Doesn't cost you a dime, but it sure helps me out, and I greatly appreciate it. So without any further ado, here is my latest interview with Boomerocity friend Willie Nile. Until next time, this is Randy Patterson. Take care. Hello, Willie. I don't hear you.
Hello, hello. Can you hear me now?
Oh, I can now. Good deal.
How are you?
Doing great. It's been a while. It's been about 4 years since you and I last spoke. Was it something I said?
Has it really been that long?
Yeah, it has. It's when you came out with the last studio album. So it's been.
Why?
I mean I follow you. We didn't talk. You came out with a live album after that, didn't you?
Yes. Last year I
Yeah.
put out Live at Daryl's. I love your
Yeah.
background. How awesome. How did you yeah, well,
I'll
that's
I'll
awesome. How did, huh?
I'll give it to you. I'll send it to you. So
Oh, that looks good.
you can use it. You can use it on your other interviews. So
That's great. That's pretty great. I love the cover.
it's simple to do. I'll send you a link to where you can download it because it can be a little memory intensive to send via email. So I'll throw it into a Dropbox for you. Before we hang up, give me your email address and I'll send you a link. You can download it. But
Thank you, Randy. I just got these yesterday. They literally came yesterday, the CDs.
oh wow,
I
very
know.
cool, nice. You going to do vinyl too?
Oh yeah.
All right. You can't see because of all your album covers hiding everything. But I've got autographed album covers all over my office walls. And so when you come out with the vinyl, I'd like to get a copy of it if I can get you to sign it. And
Sure.
I'll
Just give
I'll
me
put it up here. Pardon me.
when we're done, yeah, just I'll give you my email address and you can send me a mailing address. We'll get you one signed. I mean,
All right. Sounds cool.
it's a really cool looking here I got one here. Well, I had a mock-up done of one. I just did listening parties.
Uh-huh.
But the vinyl looks really great
Nice.
full size,
Very cool. Very cool.
Yeah.
What I just as luck would have it, I don't know if Howard told you how this all came down, but I was interviewing Ricky Byrd a few weeks ago, and your name came up. I can't remember exactly how, but it came up.
Must go
Uh,
money.
wasn't it? Wasn't didn't you contribute to his last album, this new album he has out or something?
I'm not sure about the new one. I think the one before that. We did write
Mhm.
something for this. I'm not sure if it made the record. I don't think so. But it's a great record. I'm proud of him.
Yeah, he's a good guy, and I'm, of course, his wife Carol. I absolutely adore. She and I work together a lot on I review the stuff she manages, and she arranges a few interviews for me now and then. And wonderful lady, wonderful lady. Funny story about her. I thought she was handling a friend of mine, Andy Timmons, and I dropped her a note, and I was thinking, I mean, I thought there was only one Carol Kay in the music business, and that was the bass player, right, from the Wrecking Crew.
That's
And
right.
so I dropped her a note and I said, "Are you still playing bass?" She wrote me back. She said, "Nope, different Carol Kay." I mean, spelled her name the same and everything, you know. But
I never put those two together. Wow. Yeah, yeah.
you know, and Carol's still around. The other Carol Kay's still around. She's up there in age quite a bit, but she's still active. So,
That's a that's a great documentary they made about the Wrecking Crew.
oh
You know,
yeah, yeah. The son that put that together, I met him at the Dallas International Guitar Festival before it was released, and he told me that he had this thing all ready to go, and then he realized he hadn't covered the mechanics licenses for all the songs. And I forget, it was going to cost him like over $1 million in fees because of all the songs he was using in the album. And, you know, it didn't matter who all he knew, but I mean, and I can feel for it. I was putting up an ad yesterday on one of the interviews I was doing. I was just using maybe a minute of a song of the band I was interviewing. I was running it in the background, and YouTube kicked it off saying that, copyright violation. So I couldn't even use it to
wow,
promote the band who was playing it, So
wow.
there's got to be some common sense in there somewhere.
Yeah, that's I mean that's
But
pretty great.
how'd your last album do? The studio one,
The
was it
last
Into the
uh,
World?
the day the Earth stood still.
The day
Uh,
there, I knew it was something cataclysmic there. So,
yeah, it was that was written about the lockdown in New York City. The
mhm.
COVID around the world. It did great. I mean, it's been 3.5 years. It'll be almost four by the time three. Yeah, I've been putting records out every year since 2009. I put 12 records out up to 21 and studio records, and I've been live one in there. But there's a guy making a documentary about me. And so he said, "Oh, you're going to make another record. We're not going to be able to blah, blah, blah." So I go, "No, no, I won't make one this year." This was 22 we're talking. And it led into 23. So really it was like I said, "I won't make a record. I won't do a fan fund, in case we need a fan fund for the documentary," which we don't right now. And so it'll be like, I think August of 21 is when that record came out. So
Yeah.
I would have normally made a record the following year because I'm always writing. I've got songs coming out of my ears still, fortunately, and uh, yeah. So this is really fun. I'm so psyched about this. I mean, I literally just got these yesterday, and I should have the vinyl. I should have the vinyl by the middle of May. So
Cool.
I'm really excited about it.
You know, I can only surmise what you and your peers must feel like when, I mean, this is like having a new child, right? A new baby, and it's you pour so much of yourself into it, and you guys put yourself out there for either praise or ridicule or somewhere in between. And I mean, I don't think I don't think most fans realize that about the artists they listen to and what all goes into try to entertain the masses. It really is an onerous effort, and for you to feel proud of when that comes out, it's got to be just a very unique feeling that statistically very few people can relate to. Yeah.
Those people, like, there's lots of different lines of work that um, I like, that where you just jump off the edge and you just give everything you got because you believe in it. It's
Hmm.
not very stable. I mean, to become a musician, trying to make records and make a living from that. I mean, I forget who I was talking to the other day about it, but it's a hard road, but it's really gratifying at moments like this. Like
Hmm.
I do this because I love it. I don't do this because I want to become some kind of an icon. I'm not looking to becoming famous was not foremost in my focus. My focus was the music.
Hmm.
I grew up in a great era, of music in the '60s, and all kinds of music. It was just really inspiring, and I was writing, and I moved to New York, and I just thought, these songs I'm writing, they're up there. They're not too far off what I'm hearing on the radio. Let me try to see if I can make a living doing it. But I didn't care about being famous. Fame didn't do a lot for Michael Jackson or Whitney Houston. And
Yeah.
that fame won't get you there. I mean, it won't get you a place of enlightenment. And stinking rich. I always say this. I love stinking rich. I'm fine with. I can do. I'm in. But like, it's not about the glory. It's about the passion for music that can either entertain, inspire, inform. Just whether it's rocking on a Saturday night kind of song, or whether it's a song about the climate and the world going to hell, or whatever the subject matter is, love, loss. I love that the palette is just wide open, and I express myself through my songs. I
Hmm.
originally wrote poetry, and then when I played the piano and I wrote poetry, but once I learned to play the guitar, my roommate in college had a guitar. I was in Ohio for 1 year, and it was boring as hell. And I learned to play the guitar, and then I started putting my writings into songs, and it's a labor of love for me. I mean, I do it because I love it. I'm
Hmm.
still performing, I mean, like crazy. I'm having a ball. Anybody who comes to my shows, this guy's not kidding. And the thing, I've got a band, they're not kidding either. Well, we are kidding. We're goofing off, but it's amazing to me when I look around the stage at the guys in the band, Johnny Paisano, John Weber, and Jimmy Bones. Like, they're my songs, so I'm gonna give everything I got. I never phone it in, never. That time will never come. But if it did, I wouldn't do it. That's not why I
Right.
do it. I do it. I'm
Yeah.
driven to do it. It's meaningful for me, and I can tell from the audience reaction. I'll come out after, thank people for coming, sign CDs, whatnot, that it's meaningful for them. Life is hard. You know, I've had this conversation with Springsteen a few times. People come for the ecstasy. Life is hard. People work. How many of us get to follow our dreams and get anywhere with them? It's just not the norm. And it is what it is. And we all have to deal with whatever comes our way. The ups and downs of the music business. I mean, give me a break. They're all over the map. But, you know, um, I'm just like, I've never swayed my passion for it. You know, um, I'm grateful and consider myself very lucky. My dad's 107 years old and he's doing fine, lives at home.
No way.
And he's
Wow.
one of the oldest guys in North America, I think, at this point. And
My goodness.
one of my brothers lives with him. He lives at home, has a happy hour every day, no medication, no naps.
Happy hour every day.
He does. He'll have a
That's
glass of
phenomenal.
he'll have a glass of wine and some crackers and cheese, and then he'll have a glass of wine at dinner. I was talking to him the other day. And here's a guy who's been alive since 1917 and has seen a lot, and he's a great guy. He's still funny, he's still with it. And he said, "How you doing? How's it going?" And I said, "Well, it's going good, but I've really been busy. It's hard. I've been so busy traveling and whatnot." He goes, "Yeah, but you get to do what you love. You're a lucky
Yeah.
guy." And so
Yeah.
I definitely am very grateful I get to do what I love. And moments like this, putting the record out, The Great Yellow Light, it was a labor of love. The people that played on it. I mean, Steve Earle sings on
I
"Wake Up."
saw that.
Paul Brady, the legendary Irish singer-songwriter, he's 77. He sings a duet with me on "An Irish Goodbye." Waddy Wachtel plays on one of the songs. It's on "Wake Up
Yep.
America." And Waddy's a buddy of mine, and I sent him a song I was working on just for fun, and I get back this here. I put a guitar part on it, and that's a beautiful thing. That's not any kind of hype. It's just because he loved the song, had an
Mhm.
idea. David Mansfield plays on the record. David Mansfield from the Rolling Thunder Review. He's a multi-instrumentalist. He's played on a zillion records. Sweetheart. He plays mandolin on Irish Goodbye. And two of the Hooters, Rob Hyman, Eric Bazillion, they're good friends of mine, the Hooters. And Rob Hyman played on six songs, keyboards, accordion. Eric Bazillion played on two of them. They both sang on it. So I've got a great cast of characters on the album, and it was so much fun. I love I love bringing the song to life in the studio. That is fun, you know. You rehearse with the band, you rehearse with the band, and you go in the studio and you make magic. And sometimes, some are easier than others, some songs, but boy, is it fun. I mean, it's glorious. I love being in the studio. So all in all, it's a risk. It's definitely a high risk way to make a living, no
Yeah.
doubt about it. But I mean, at this point, looking back, it's like I never would have dreamed uh, so many of the things that have happened to me. Playing with
You,
Springsteen, 70,000 people at Giant Stadium. Playing with Springsteen, that was at the end of one of his tours, and that was I think 2000. Well, it was Clarence. I played with Clarence Clement a bunch of times. Bruce is a good buddy and been very generous off bringing me on stage. And he joins us. He played with us in January. There's a Parkinson's research
I
called
saw that video online. Yeah.
lightofday.org. I mean, Bruce is great. This was the 25th anniversary of that organization. We've raised about $7 million for Parkinson's research,
Wow.
and that's all these musicians getting together. It started out a buddy of mine, at 35 years old, got diagnosed. Might have been 37, I forget, with Parkinson's. And he's still going. But I mean, he's wheelchair bound, in really rough shape. And he had done some work for Bruce. He put mixtapes together before Bruce, before they would go on stage. They'd play music over the sound system. And my buddy Bob Benjamin did that. And when he got sick, Bob invited him to come play. When Bob got sick, and Bruce came, and he's come half the times, and
Wow.
it's been, I think there's like, I think 67 events. It's a lot of different events happen, but we've raised like 7 million for charity for Parkinson's research. But what's one interesting thing about that? First of all, God bless Bruce for that, for doing that, and for joining us. He always joins us when he comes. Very generous of him. But one interesting thing about that organization, the third year we had it, I've been there. I've done it every year. Bob's a good friend, and if I make sure that my schedule is clear, and I do a handful of performances, 4 or 5 each year, different venues. The big one is in Red Bank, New Jersey, at the Count Basie Theater. But the interesting thing about that is the third year, Michael J. Fox came to the Stone Pony to one of the lighted days, and he was he was not having a great day. One of his legs was kind of funky, and one of his hands was shaking. I guess with that disease, there's good days and bad days.
Yeah.
And he came, and he was going to play lighted day with Bruce, and I got to meet Michael. And the amazing thing was that he then started his own organization, and they've raised tens of millions. So it's like, one good deed
Yeah.
led to, and so many people have Parkinson's. Everybody knows somebody with Parkinson's pretty much. And
Hmm.
one day they'll find a cure for that. And when they do, huge party on planet Earth. And
Oh,
then
for sure.
I always say the next day, let's go after something else.
That's right. Let's not rest on our laurels. I want
You
to go
know,
back to something your dad said, though, before I forget,
yeah,
because it's a compliment to you and Bruce and others. You talked about that your dad said you get to do what you love.
yeah,
And I would say the majority of people on this planet don't get to.
yeah.
I'm kind of retired. I get to do this. I don't make a living at it, but I have a lot of fun doing it. I'm in my 17th year doing it, and I
Good
love
for
it.
you.
I do it for the fun.
Good,
But
congratulations.
well, thank you. But more important, congratulations to you and what you get to do, what Bruce gets to do, what any artist that has a fan base gets to do is make things tolerable, memorable, enjoyable for us that or for those who don't get to do what they love to do or don't know what it is that they would love to do.
Yeah,
You make those days better for them because for me, and I'm sure it is for them, songs create a benchmark in our lives. I mean, think about it. A song can come on from 1960 something instantly. We know the
yeah,
song,
yeah,
and it more times than not, we go back to a period of time that song creates a benchmark in our mind for in our lives. And I mean, what better way of having an impact on people besides saving lives, perhaps, than to create that soothingness, that comfort,
yeah,
that memory jog by way of music. And music is such a unifier. So,
yeah.
thank you all for that, in my opinion. That's a gift that I think a lot of people don't give enough thought about and credit for.
It's my mom used to always say it's better to give than to receive, and she meant it.
Mm-hmm.
I would tease her about it. Oh, come on, ma. She knew I was kidding her. But like that's what I love about Light of Day is like musicians all gather and they play the songs, they play the music. Spirits are raised, money's raised. That's all good. It's a win-win for everybody. And I mean, when you talk about benchmarks, I've been so lucky. I got to sing with Ringo Starr in '92, the All Star. I'm a kid who grew up with the Beatles,
Mm-hmm.
and in '92, I get a phone call from somebody that um, Ringo's opening act. Somebody got sick and asked if I'd fill in with 2 days notice, and hell yeah, I'd love to. And we played Jones Beach here in Long Island, and it was just glorious. Ringo couldn't have been nicer. More down to earth, and it's Ringo Starr for crying out loud. And we did good. We did good enough that he wanted us to do more. So we did like half a dozen, seven, eight, whatever.
Nice.
Indoor, outdoor. They're called sheds, 15,
Mm-hmm.
20,000. And it was glorious. It was so much fun. And the last night of the tour, here's a comment about Ringo and what a class act. So last night of the tour, I'm on the stage. I had done my half an hour and with the band, good fun, packed house. And I'm standing on the side of the stage, and I wasn't close to, he did his set, and he came off before the encores, and I was about 30 feet away, whatever, not that close. And he saw me standing, and he came walking right over to me. The show's not even over yet, right? He's all sweating. He comes over to me, and he said, Willie, I want to thank you for you. You guys did a great job. Thanks so much. Gives me a big hug, and I thought, man, I said, it was an honor, Ringo, and he says, hey, you want to come and sing? I get by with a little help from my friends with us. And I went, yeah, let me get my coat. And I ran off, got my coat. And I got, he introduced me. I got to sing. I get by with a little help from my friends with Ringo, which was a real honor. Rick Danko was on stage, Nils Lofgren. It was Joe Walsh, Dave
Wow.
Edmonds, Nils Lofgren, Timothy B. Schmidt. It was Todd Rundgren. It was like Zach Starkey, Ringo's son, and I got to sing that song. It was so meaningful, and he just was being generous. It was not
Mm-hmm.
nobody's showing off here. It was just a case of
Right.
was playing music for music that people love, and that's what at its best, rock and roll or all kinds of music, whatever the genre. It's a community experience. It's about sharing. We're all living this life. We all get born in our own cradles, and we all are on our journeys. But like this, we have so much in common. I think that it's really
Yeah.
understated these days how much we have in common. People
Yeah.
die, and
Yeah.
music can pick us up. I can't tell you
That's right.
how many times after shows I'm signing CDs, and I'm not a big star. I'm not I'm make a living at it. I get to go to Europe all the time and play, and play in North America. So I'm very lucky. I make my living doing this. I don't. have a side job, and I can't tell you how many times signing CDs that people have come up to me and said, Willie, I never heard of you. And a friend of mine, my mom died, 6 months ago, or I lost my partner or whatever, and I haven't been out in a while. And they go, you should come to a Willie show. You're going to feel better. And these people, they're not kidding. They're not like, blowing smoke. They mean it. You can tell.
Hmm.
And that's so gratifying, that it can be healing. I mean, you wouldn't be doing this if it wasn't healing for you and meaningful. And it is for me. And it comes across on our live shows clearly. It
Hmm.
comes across
Hmm.
on our live shows. We give everything. And that's the fun of it. I mean, I'm not a kid. I'm like 76-year-old dude. And I can, I can do 2 hours a night, night after night. I think it's aerobics for me. It's kept me healthy.
Yeah.
Anyway, knock on wood. Yeah.
Well, but I agree with what you said about Ringo. I met him one time kind of at a distance. It was 10 or so years ago in Greenville, South Carolina. He was doing a show there, and I had just interviewed a couple weeks before Steve Lukather, and he invited me and my cousin to the show, and so
Well,
I figured I'd be meeting Luke, and then that would be that. So we're standing there talking, and pretty soon Rundgren walks up, and he's standing around talking to. There's a handful of fans that were brought back to a backstage area, and then finally Luke, and he's got his acoustic guitar, he's dinking around telling stories, and all of a sudden he goes, "Well, you want to meet the boss?" And we're all like, "Well, yeah." He walks us back, and I've got a
well,
picture of he and Ringo together. They come in, Ringo's holding a cup of tea. He just looks over at me, and I kept my distance. I didn't approach, and we just nodded at each other, and that was it. That was my interaction with a Beatle. So
yeah,
not too many
pretty cool.
people can say that, but
Yeah,
I'll take what I can get.
you're very lucky. He's very generous, and it's not easy being a Beatle. I'll never forget
No,
that. Never forget that tour. Every time he walked into a room, every eyeball, boom, like
yeah,
it was like I kind of felt for him. Like there's no way of getting away from that.
yeah.
That attention. He handled it really well. Peace and
And
love.
everybody wanting something from him too. That's
Often.
it's hard to, he has to have his guard up. Anybody in those positions have to.
He couldn't have
So
been nice. He couldn't have been nicer on that tour. It was so nice. I mean, I'll never forget that. You know,
that's cool. Well, how long did it take you to put this album together?
Not long. I had the songs before I went in. I always do. I don't
Hmm.
go in to make a record unless I have the songs. You I don't have the kind of budgets where you can go into the studio and just dick around and come
Hmm.
up with stuff. I write them. I'm a songwriter. I get a song, an idea, I write it, I got it. And I put this collection together ahead of time. I had about 20 some songs, 25 songs I was thinking about. And I had a hardcore eight. And then I thought, well, I need two or three more. And um, I had the songs, rehearsed with the bands. I think we had three rehearsals, which is more than we usually do. Went in the studio. I would say it took us about, oh, 3 days to do the basic tracks. Three sessions, 3 8 hour, 9 hour sessions. And I'd say about the whole thing took a couple of weeks, the recording and the whatever overdub, and maybe less than that. Actually, we can have to do the recording and then mixing, you know, some days. So just a few weeks. It went really quickly, actually, the recording, and all the vocals are live. I didn't overdub anything, not on purpose. It wasn't by design. The band, we'll all play at the same time in the studio. Drummers
Hmm.
over here, the bass player and guitar player Johnny Jimmy or in a different room. The drummer's so loud, and I'm in a different room as well, and I'm playing guitar and singing. And when I do that, there's string noise. I'm playing an electric, and you can hear it on the vocal mic, but not bad. But every time it just worked. I got lucky. Every song, we did it. We did a take, listen back, do another one, make some comments, and then usually nail it on the next one. And every single time, all 10 of the songs, the vocals were like when we cut it live, those were, I didn't overdub a word, and that's what you can get magic that way. When
Yeah.
a playing together, there's a certain energy. So it
Yeah.
took about a couple weeks to record the album, another week to mix it. So it went pretty quickly, greatly. I mean, well, the guys are all pros. Stuart
Yeah.
Lerman, Stuart Lerman co-produces these records with me, and Stuart's a Grammy winner. He's worked with Elvis Costello, Patti Smith, a million. He's won Grammy. He does all Scorsese's recordings for the films.
Oh.
And I've been working with Stuart since '88, and I love his dear, dear friend. And so, and the engineer James Frazee and my band, Johnny, Jimmy, and John,
Mhm.
it's a great little team, you know. So it was pretty effortless. I mean, some of the songs, like the title track, took a lot of work to get it just like that because it came out great. Some of them
Mhm.
went like Electrify Me, 2 or 3 takes done, you know. So it was fun, a fun process, and I'm just thrilled with how it came out. It's you never know going in, and it beyond my wildest dreams how it came out. Yeah,
Was there anything different about putting this one together than any of the other albums you've worked on in your career?
I wouldn't say so. It's pretty much that's how they usually are.
Hmm.
But like in this one, David Mansfield has his own little studio in the studio we recorded Hobo Sound in Weehawken, and David's got a room in the studio, his own little studio. And he's a pal, and he was around, and he was hearing us work. And Stewart said, let's put a mandolin on this. And he asked David, yeah, sure. He came in, boom, boom, 15 minutes was done. Wouldn't take any money for it. He said, no, no, it was, and so it's always so joyful, to share music with other players.
Yeah.
Rob and Erica, the Hooters, came on up from Philadelphia for a day. It was just glorious. It was fun. They were singing away. Um, yeah. So it's similar to other records I've made in that that's basically if we go in and cut stuff live. Always that. Because I like
Yeah.
that live energy. Obviously, there's
Yeah.
overdubs. There'll be guitar overdubs or there's some fixes
Hmm.
with different instruments. But yeah, I love it. It's fun.
Any surprises?
I was surprised that every vocal was a scratch vocal, was a keeper. You
Yeah.
cut the track. I'm singing so that the band can follow along, but there's an energy that builds with that. The drama of the
Right.
song. That it infuses. You know the one with the energy and stuff. So surprises, I would say, it was a surprise to me that Paul Brady would sing on it. Stewart said let's reach out to Paul Brady. He knew Paul. Paul's an Irish legend, icon
Hmm.
in Irish music. And like within 3 days, we had the track back. He sent it to him because I'd love to do it. I love the song. That was a real surprise and a real honor.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Which song on the album would you point to as a calling card to say, hey, if you like this song, you're going to love the rest of the record?
Well, no, all different calling cards. We are. That's going to be the first single on May 19th.
Hmm.
We are is if you hear that, if you don't like that, you must be comatose because it's total. It's total fun. And if you hear that,
Hmm.
then that's a pretty good welcome to the record.
For those who've got to hear the album in advance, I mean, I got to. I mean, to me, it's what you would expect from a Willie Nile project, right? So, good old straightforward rock and roll and certain vibe to it and all that. What's been the feedback you've gotten so far, though, from those others who have been able to hear the album before its release?
The feedback has been off the hook. There's a sticker on the album. I got 2 quotes, and there's a famous poet in the States. His name is Richard Hoffman, and I sent him. He came to a gig of mine, I don't know, 2 months ago, and he's a pal and a great, great poet. And he told me a tech. I said he wanted to hear the album, so I sent him the album, and I got a text the next day, and it was so beautiful, and took a quote out of it, and I said, "Can I use this?" He says, "It's a masterpiece. The title cut brought me to tears. An album that can make you dance and make you cry. Rock and roll at its best." Richard Hoffman,
Mhm.
poet. And another writer, Steve Simmels from Power Pop, wrote, "Nile has the mark of the bard upon him." Anyway, I've done two, God bless those guys. I've done two listening parties, one in Buffalo and one in New York City. I just did it the other day, where people come. In Buffalo, it was at the Goo Goo Dolls. The bass player, Robbie at the Goo Goo Dolls, has a studio in Buffalo, beautiful studio.
Hmm.
And I've done listening parties there as part of the fan fund. I do a fan fund. Like if you go to
Mhm.
willienile.com, you can read about the fan fund and see the things we offer all kinds of cool things for participating in the album. And there was, it was a packed, 60 people, packed studio, and they're all hardcore fans, that would come. A buddy came from Minnesota, Minneapolis. Someone came from
Wow.
Pittsburgh from DC. They traveled just to hear it, and they paid to get in. And so had a wrapped audience. There was a DJ there from Buffalo, and uh, Anita and Anita West. And every song they were cheering after it. And she said, "Well, that's the best record I've ever heard you ever make." And the band, who knows my material inside out, they all loved it. They just couldn't, and you can tell when if it's forced or it's natural. They
Right.
loved it.
Yeah. Yeah.
And this past weekend, I did a gig at a place called Bowery Electric. It was a
Mhm.
listening party again, and it was Jesse Mallin's club, my good buddy. He let me use the club to have this listening party, and it was a packed house, and there was same response. People loved it. A number of people said that's the best record you made. So it's been really encouraging. I mean, I'm really
Mhm.
thrilled with it. If you make it and you love it, that's for me, that's a success right there. But to get the feedback that I've been getting has been really heartening and very gratifying. Yeah.
One thing I don't think I told you the last time we spoke, and I don't want to let this call go before I say it this time. I feel like your Dylan album was
Mm,
phenomenal.
thank you. Yeah.
And I was particularly taken by the fact that you did Every Grain of Sand,
Yeah.
because I think that era of Dylan's work, I think a lot of people didn't know how to take his journey at that time, and he got a bit preachy. I'm a believer. I was real heavy into contemporary Christian music at the time, and when Dylan came out with Slow Train and Saved and uh, what was the other Bold, not Bold as Love, the one
Shot of
that
love.
Shot of Love, that song came off of Every Grain of Sand. I I mean, I just hearing those lyrics were just, you could tell they came from the heart,
Oh,
and wherever he was at in his journey. And I've heard people cover some songs from those three albums, but how you handled Every Grain of Sand was, to me, that was the ultimate there.
thanks, Rick.
For his to cover his work. It's not an easy thing to do. I know Rory Block came out with one a year or two ago on all Dylan stuff, and and it's not the typical piano lounge type of covering. You guys take it to where try to treat it to where he came from with it, and your collection of his work was, I really, it was great, a great job you did on that.
Thank you, Randy. It was a real pleasure. We made that in 2 days, and
Wow.
it was the same thing. The vocals are all live. The band just boom, boom, boom. We just knocked it out.
Hmm.
The drummer from what's Aaron Comez. Name of the band escapes me. It'll come to me, but he played on it. The great James Maddock is a great, great singer-songwriter. The best I've
Hmm.
seen him all my years in New York. Played and sang on it. Matt Hogan, Johnny Paisano. Um, I was asked to do City Winery here was doing a 75th Dylan birthday event, acoustic show, and they called me up and said, "Would you come and close the show? Do 4 songs acoustic." And I said, "Well, let me think about that. If I can, let me give it a think. I don't just do it. If I think I can bring something to the table, So
Hmm.
that night looked through his catalog and picked songs out and played 4 songs at the event, and it was so much fun. Our Rains Are Gonna Fall, Rainy Day Women, I
Hmm.
Love My Zero, No Limit, and let's see, I Shall Be Released. No, it wasn't that. It was Ooh, ride me high. Tomorrow's the day my bride's gonna come. Whoa, whoa, we're gonna fly down in the easy chair. I can't think of the title of that, but I sang those 4 songs. It was so much fun. It was a packed house. People went nuts because the songs are great, And I think
Hmm.
I just did simple versions, and I thought, I never would have thought of making an album like that. That's not. I just record my own stuff. That was so much fun. I thought, man, if I had 6 more of these, it could be a good make a record. And so I got together with James Maddock, 2 acoustic guitars, and I loved what he was playing. And I thought, yeah, man, and it was just a labor of love. Every song is a masterpiece on that record. The song itself, Bob's songs,
Hmm.
and we had fun with them. Blowing in the Wind, we did like the Ramones. It was just so much fun,
Hmm.
and it was a labor of love. 2 days it took to record that
Wow.
record. Yeah,
Wow.
yeah.
Well, what would you like to do that you haven't done yet?
Well, I've been more than lucky. I've done so many things I never even dreamed, my wildest dreams. I've got to play with the Who. I tour with the Who across the U.S. You know, play with Lucinda Williams, Richard Thompson, Ringo
Hmm.
Starr, Springsteen many times. There's just so many things. Ian Hunter. You know, Mike Peters. God bless Mike Peters. He just passed.
Hmm. Yep.
Um, I mean, I've been more than lucky. I don't know that. Uh, I would just say, my hope would be that, like, my health holds that I can keep doing this because I'm doing it at the same pace and breakneck speed. I've been doing it since I was 20,
Wow.
20,
That's
25.
remarkable. That
I'm lucky.
is remarkable.
Well, Dad's 107, so it's got something to do with the genes. But like, I just, what I just like to do, continue carrying on doing it because I enjoy the performances. I enjoy writing. I love recording. So I'm
Hmm.
a lucky dude, working. I work at my craft. I love it.
Hmm.
It's very deeply satisfying. You write a song that has some meaning,
Yeah.
whatever the subject matter is, and
Hmm.
whether it's a fun, kick-ass thing or whether it's something poignant about someone's passing or a love song. It's I love it. I love it. So just more of the same, It's knock on wood. I have the health to keep going.
Well, what's on your radar for the rest of the year?
I've got shows booked. I'll keep writing. I'm always doing that. That's just always just happens on its own. I've got shows in the web willienile.com has the list of shows. We're playing at Long Island on May 10th at my father's place, legendary place, and
Hmm.
I'm flying the band out to California to do a show out there in Santa Ynez, California, and just a whole bunch of shows on the road ahead. Like I do an annual birthday show in Red Bank, well, in Jersey. It's usually at the Wonder Bar, Stone Pony. This one's at the Vogel, which is part of the Count Basie Theater. I'm looking forward to that. There's a bunch of shows. In the middle of June. There's shows in the Midwest, and yeah, I'll just be touring. Here and there. I'll go to Europe. So more playing, more writing, more magic, more music and magic on the road ahead. That's what I think.
Good deal. Good
Yeah.
deal. Well,
Well, look,
I'm going to keep an eye on your itinerary, and if you get down my way, um, I definitely want to connect with you and meet you face to face in person. And
I'd love that. I'd love that.
yeah.
Where are you located?
I am in the Smoky Mountains, way down south, as McCartney said. I'm at 2 miles up the road from Dollywood, believe it or not.
Wow.
And Miss Dolly
Lucky.
will be in town tomorrow and Saturday at her little amusement park over there. So But
Wow.
you mentioned your dad and your brother living with. I live next door to my dad. He has Alzheimer's, so I'm his caregiver. So I get to return the favor that he and mom did for my sister and I. So
It's a
it's
beautiful, that's a beautiful
yeah,
thing,
yeah,
and that's,
yeah.
I tell my brother Joe, I'm one of 8 kids, and I had great parents.
Wow.
I'm very, very fortunate in that my parents were just very loving, and they were great parents. And I told my brother Joe, this is your, he's been there 7 years living with dad, just watching over him, cooking for him now, you know, and I said, this is your masterpiece, you know,
Hmm.
what you're doing now. You're doing the heavy lifting,
Hmm.
and I'm proud. I couldn't be more proud of him. So good
Yep.
for you for
Yep.
living next door. Nothing like giving back, huh? That's a beautiful
Yeah.
thing.
It gets exhausting, but I wouldn't have it any other way. And I'm filling that treasure chest full of memories, and that's what I love.
There you go.
So
Well,
it's all good.
I'm proud of you. Good for you, Randy, for doing that. And if I'm anywhere near where you are, I'll give you my email address. Just let me know. You
Yep.
know,
I think I have it from the last time, but I don't want to assume that. What is your email address?
it's Willie.
And mine, in case it hits the junk mail, mine is and I should have this. I'll work with Howard on the timing of when this thing posts, but I'll shoot you a note as well, and Howard will let you know when it posts. But I definitely would love to see a signed album up on my wall from you, man, because I love what you do, and I hope we do another 50 of these over the years, man. We'll both be
There you
up
go.
there in age and helping each other out. Let's do it.
Oh yeah. I appreciate you taking the time, Randy. Thank you.
Well, the
And we have
pleasure's all mine.
we share we love share we share a love of music. The good
Hmm.
stuff, passionate stuff, and I appreciate you taking the time. Thank you, my friend. And I hope to see you on the trails. I can meet face to face, and I'll
Yeah,
get you.
likewise.
Email me a mailing address, and we'll get you one of the signed vinyls.
Okay, sounds good, man. And prayers for your dad and your brother, taking care of him there too. So
Thank you.
hope he lives a lot longer. So
Thank you so
take
much,
care, my
Randy.
friend. We'll talk
You
soon.
too. Talk soon. Bye bye, brother.